Let me guess. Your dentist has recommended that it is time to drop the pacifier, or you are just ready to let it go. Regardless of what you call it, the pacifier, the soother, the dummy, the bobo. This doesn't have to be a terrifying time. It can be a little challenging, but I'm here to walk you through all of the ways that you're going to drop the pacifier for your baby or your toddler. Hi, my name is Sarah Badio, and I am the owner and certified pediatric sleep consultant of Yours and Baby Sleep. To date, I have helped over 350 families find the sleep that they so need and deserve, and I'm here to help you specifically with dropping the pacifier. So let's get into it. Your child is ready to drop the pacifier when, number one, your medical professional has recommended it. So most of the time it's a pediatric dentist who is going to say that the pacifier is affecting the formation of the roof of their mouth. So their teeth might be starting to push a little bit forward. The roof of their mouth might actually be starting to narrow and push a little bit upward. Same thing as thumb sucking. And at a certain point, our mouths are not as malleable. So dentists often recommend that this pacifier drop happens by the age of 2 or 3. Your pediatrician also might recommend the same thing if they see that the formation of the mouth is starting to be a little bit off. But what about if you have a baby? So a child who is anywhere from 0 to, let's say, 2 years old, and your dentist hasn't recommended dropping it yet. What would be the reasons to drop a pacifier? The first one, you just don't want it anymore. You are ready to have no pacifier because it is getting in the way more than it is helping you. Number 2, you are concerned that it is affecting their speech. So they are so obsessed with their binky, their bobo, their soother, their dummy, that they're not talking because it's in their mouth all day long. Or number 3, you suspect that it is interfering with their sleep. This is the one that I find the most common when I'm working with families. When we're using a pacifier, it can be so helpful. Really great when we're at the restaurant and we want to make sure that our baby is nice and soothed and quiet. Great for long car rides. It's great for walks in the stroller. But if you find yourself playing paci pong, and you know what I mean, the bobo's in, baby falls asleep, 2 hours later the bobo pops out, you're back. You're putting the bobo in. You leave the room, an hour later you're back. You're playing paci pong, back in and out and in and out. This is when the pacifier is no longer serving you. You're no longer able to get those really long stretches of sleep because the baby is either too young to put the paci back in their mouth. Usually this is for babies under the age of 7 months, or the baby realizes when they can put the paci back in their mouth that it actually means mom's gonna come or dad's gonna be in the room and they're gonna get a visit at midnight from their most favorite caregiver. So it's not necessarily about the paci, it's about the fact that they get attention from you in the middle of the night and they love that all night long because they love you. So this is when the paci isn't serving you and when it's time for you to drop it. So let's talk about how we're gonna do that. Honestly, guys, I'm gonna cut right to the chase and this is gonna be really short and simple. You're gonna drop the paci cold turkey. This is the easiest way to do it. And if we're looking at dropping the pacifier from a sleep perspective or even from a medical perspective because of the formation of the mouth, what we really want to provide to our children is super black and white expectations. Yes, there are weaning products out there. So the pacifiers that come with shorter and shorter tips to them that you can purchase. I don't love them because eventually we're going to get to the end where they're not having a paci anyway. So why put them through the process of that? Your kid is brilliant. I know they are. I know they're super smart and I know that they can adjust and get used to new things when you're teaching them in a consistent way. So what I want you to do is pick a day when you just drop the pacifier altogether. You're going to remove it. You're going to get rid of everyone in your house. You're going to throw them out in the garbage and you're not going to put any safety pacifiers in your Amazon cart to be ordered for overnight shipping because you don't need them anymore. Okay, so that's really well said and done, right? And it sounds easier than actually it might be. So I'm going to give you some tips to support you as you do remove the pacifier cold turkey. So for babies, I would say from the ages of 0 all the way up to maybe 15 months, I would remove it during bedtime only or nap time. The rule of thumb is that when they're in the crib, they cannot have the pacifier, but all other times of the day, in the stroller, in the car seat, when you're at a restaurant, pacifier is fair game. So that they understand that the rule is there is no pacifier during sleep. And that's a really good way to start removing it because most of the time the strongest association is going to be during sleep time. And if the pacifier is the thing getting in the way of of sleep, it's best to remove it completely during the time inside of the crib. Now, what about if you have an older child? So you have a child who is in the toddler years, right? 15 to 18 months or older, 2 years, 3 years, maybe even 4 years old. At this point, it is really important to provide extremely black and white, clear expectations. Remember, with our toddlers, clear is kind. So what we are going to do is prep them for this. We're going to prep them early and often. We're going to talk about it for a few days, every once in a while, in very developmentally appropriate language to them. You are a big kid now, and it is time to get rid of the pacifier. We can use, like a baby cousin who's coming, or maybe even a sibling, or the paci fairy, insert some type of fairy tale into the situation and let them feel like they're helping somebody else in giving up the pacis. We need to give them to somebody else who needs them a lot, because they're for babies, they're not for big kids, right? And we're gonna prep them, and then on the day that it's time to drop the pacifier, we're gonna let them know when they head to bed that there is no more pacifier. But the rule is for toddler-aged children that they cannot have the pacifier at all during all phases of the day. Whereas the babies, we can have it during the restaurant times, during the stroller walks, but for toddlers, we really need to be very black and white with them, and it's harder for them to go back and forth to having it and not having it. And in addition to prepping them by talking early and often about dropping the pacifier and being really clear, what I also want you to do is make sure that they have some type of other soothing mechanism when they are asleep. So at this point, the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends beyond the age of 12 months old that you can have some type of a lovey or a blanket in the crib or bed with them. So providing them with a lovey that they can associate with sleep and use that to soothe, or a stuffed animal, a comfort object, right? So what you can start doing as you anticipate dropping the paci and pulling it cold turkey is making sure that they are really, really loving their comfort object. Finally, what I need you to make sure with any age, with baby, with toddler, when we're dropping the paci, it's going to be much easier when you've established independent sleep habits. So if your child already has a great schedule and is already falling asleep on their own for most sleep phases, even with the assistance of a paci, and you can count on them sleeping through the night without needing you, except if it's for a nutritionally needed night feeding, guess what? It's gonna be so much easier for you to get rid of the paci. And a final point about those toddlers too, dropping the paci and getting out of the crib and into the big kid bed sometimes happens generally around the same age or in the same developmental stage. And what I really want you to do first is drop your pacifier. So I want you to make sure that you have really completely independent sleep habits while your toddler is still in the nice loving boundaries of their crib before we move them into their big kid bed. Trust me, this is going to make it much easier for you in the long run, because when we're in a big kid bed, guess what? We have no boundaries, and it can be really hard to control our impulses when we're teeny tiny. So let's say you've tried this and you've been implementing all of these great rules and new loving boundaries for your baby or your toddler, and it's been about a week or two, and sleep is really rough, feels really challenging, and you wanna go back to that Amazon cart and press send, because all you wanna do is give the paci back to them. What I'd like you to do is check out my website. I work with families one-on-one to help them through these big changes, to help them drop the paci in a supportive and kind way, and to coach them through any of the little speed bumps that you might encounter throughout the process. Once again, my name is Sarah Bazio, and I am a certified pediatric sleep consultant who helps you find the sleep that you so need and deserve. If you found the tips in this video helpful, make sure that you press the like button to let me know. Don't forget to subscribe to get more of my content, and turn on notifications to be the first to know when I post my weekly sleep tips videos. From my living room to yours, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.